Welcome back to the show. This week we have a very special guest, someone we met while we were at a conscious language event at Mastery Systems in North Carolina back in August. We have Dr. Kami Owen with us today, and joining us as well is our good friend and stay-at-home scientist, Adriann Fraddle. So I'm just going to quickly give you an intro into Dr. Kami Owen. So she has extensive qualifications. We'd be here all day if I reeled them all off, but she's board certified in integrative medicine and quantum healing. And so we'll bring her on. We'll bring them on. Welcome, Dr. Kami and Adriann. We're so excited. So excited to be on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
So excited. Okay, so I'm going to start. So Dr. Kami, tell us briefly about yourself and your background, what you do now, and how you got there.
Okay. So I started out in the healthcare field, first as a paramedic, then I became a nurse, then I got my doctorate in nursing, and then I practiced emergency medicine for about 20 years as a nurse and a provider. And then I went back to school, got my doctorate in nursing, and then started my clinic, which was in the beginning a medical spa. That I wasn't doing much in the health and healing world because I was staunchly in that medical mindset, doing emergency medicine. And then I was tired of seeing people at their worst all the time, and we were doing nothing for them, seeing the same people for the same thing over and over and over. So I wanted to create something where I see people that are happy coming in to look pretty. So I started a medical spa. I had that for about 10 years, and then my healing journey began. In 2017, I was training for the World Championships in martial arts and tore my ACL. And I had surgery on the ACL and immediately started a health challenge called CRPS, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome, where I was in excruciating pain all the time. And I went through all the mainstream medical stuff. I even had a spinal stimulator put in my back. And to no avail, they told me I'd have this for the rest of my life. So I, believed that for maybe a year. And I struggled. I almost lost everything. I almost lost my clinic. There was several times I chose not to be on the planet. Luckily, I had enough people that loved me that said, no, we're not doing that. So I found a chronic pain holistic clinic in Dripping Springs, Texas, and went there and completely healed myself of this condition, which every doctor told me was impossible. And I said, wow, I had no idea. I never read in any nursing book or medical book or anything about trauma in your body. I thought it was nonsense the first time they said something to me. And that's what it was. I had a ton of trauma in my body, cleared it out, and here we are. So we started the clinic, and I just started very slowly with, functional nutrition and all that. And then COVID hit. And that was a huge eye-opener because I saw the lie right away. And my colleagues were like, what are you talking about? It's a big lie. First of all, the mask for the first flu for me, because I've been through every pandemic in Houston in the emergency room with flu, and never did we put a mask on. We would put masks on people that were coughing up stuff because we just didn't want their spit on us, but we knew it wasn't doing anything for the actual transmission of anything. And so it started from there, and we've just exploded since. I was the only practitioner in my area that would actually see COVID patients. And these people were desperate, and their doctor just wouldn't see them at all. Just shut down. We're not seeing anybody. So I personally took care of over 4,000 COVID patients. I had no deaths, 100% recovery on 4,000 people. So I had it figured out. So there's a lot out there that people don't know about what's available. Mainstream medicine, we're very good at if you're broken, we're very good carpenters. We can put you back together. And we're very good at stopping you from dying right now. Other than that, it's just a mess. So that's how I got started, and we have just really exploded. So I'm so happy to be here because there's so much information that I believe needs to be disseminated at this point. And I think we now have created the listening for it, and now it's just getting it out there so people know.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy to have you on, Dr.
Yeah.
Kami, because we know just the things you've seen. Well, we can imagine. We don't know them all, but just the wealth of knowledge that you've accrued in your illustrious career so far.
Well, and we were so impressed with you in North Carolina when you spoke and about your mission.
Yes.
I mean, it brought me to tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally somebody who gets the entire picture that is in the medical field,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to put that out over and over. And it's funny, the synchronicities that are starting to happen already. I just got off the phone today with somebody that we were talking about a Rasha, and we can get into that later if you like. But
Yes.
we're talking about a Rasha, and he's looking at how it can come into his life. And he goes, I really want to open clinics with somebody that does, Rasha. Then I was like, oh, funny you should say that, because that's exactly what I want to do too. So there are no accidents. We're all in each other's lives for a reason. So it'll start continuing to reveal itself for us. So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Well, and
as we co-create it.
Yeah, Adriann's been talking about the Rasha for, I don't know, a year with us.
At least.
And inviting us
probably
every
a little bit
Saturday.
longer.
Yeah, every Saturday. Rasha's on, usually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Rasha cheerleader. The very first time that I
Yeah.
did it, I knew it was something spectacular. And
Yeah.
I've been, studying it and researching it ever since. And I am working on being a Rasha Guardian. And I will be a Rasha Guardian. I'm going to have two.
Oh, good. Oh, I love that they call it Guardian. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's true. And you don't choose the Rasha chooses you. And I started dreaming about the Rasha about 6 months.
Me too.
Yes,
I saw my Rashas through a portal.
Yes.
I didn't know at the time that that's what it was, but later on I realized what it was.
I didn't either. I thought, and I don't know if you saw the movie yet, Code 12 just came out. I released on Amazon. I highly recommend it. And it's talking about base 10 mathematics versus base 12 mathematics, which is what the Rasha is based on. And, a lot of people, it's hard for them to understand what the heck are you talking about, base 10 versus base 12, and I have to have this conversation with clients. But I think the movie does a really good job of talking about that and the illusion of the finite life, illusion of base 10 versus the eternal life.
Right.
Base 12. So
well, so let's go back, because I have a lot of questions about that, but I want to go back and just real quick, because the Rasha that you're doing, it's quantum energy, right? Quantum healing, right? So, so how did you get interested in actually quantum healing? Like, what was that turning point for you?
Well, the turning point for me was my own healing and seeing what it was, how it progressed. And then I started dreaming about the Rasha, and I had no idea what that was. And I saw this thing with the bubble, and then I saw the people laying around it. And it's interesting, now that I think about it, it was a 12-spoke concentric circle, and then I saw these pulses coming out of it. And my husband, he just looks at me and says, what? Because I'm not the same woman he married. We've been married 35 years, and about 5 years ago, I went crazy. What everybody in my family thought.
Same on this end, Dr. Kami.
Yeah,
same on this end.
It's like, what are you talking about? So
it's either get on the train or step aside.
Yes. So I was actually listening on another podcast, Jay Campbell's podcast, and Dr. Jerry was on there, and that's the thing I was talking about. And so I called, and it just literally fell in our lap. And
Wow.
I started using it, and I didn't really understand it back then. I was just running with it and going with it. And then the download started, and as the download started, I said, okay, I understand this. And it was just a remembering.
Mhm.
I didn't learn it because it's already coded in all our DNA anyway.
Mm.
We just have to remember it. And that's what we're doing, is waking up all of the asleep strands of DNA that we have. And, we're all at least 6-strand activated beings, or we wouldn't be on this podcast together. But as we continue, I don't know if you've noticed, the children coming in are just
Big time.
on point. They are activated fully. So it's going to be a really interesting ride. But that's how I got involved. And then, these patients started showing up that were really sick. I'm in the largest medical center in the world, Houston, Texas. So there's not a lot of listening for holistic care, and
No.
people are like, "You're crazy to, go against that."
Well, now the Mayo Clinic is there, right? So
and everything is here.
Yes, I
we
know.
have everything here. So I keep making the joke, but I feel very divinely protected. So it's a joke. I'm not creating it, but I always say, if the SUVs show up, let me know. Come in. We'll have a chat. But I think I believe I'm fine. But there was just so many people so upset and fed up over the fact that their doctor wouldn't help them anymore. And so we got a lot of patients from the COVID influx.
Mhm.
And then more and more people would, we have MD Anderson here, which is a huge cancer center.
Yes.
And it's interesting. They just get bigger and bigger every year, and they get more buildings and,
More customers and more customers.
Yes. Yes. And there's another hospital system that says, we're making cancer history. It's like, yeah, you're not. You're making cancer a huge business.
Yeah.
It's all propaganda. All that stuff is propaganda for people to keep racing for the cure when we already have all the cures.
And the cases keep going up.
Yes.
Not
yes. And the poison they're putting in our food and in our skies, chemtrails everywhere here. And I test consistently for heavy metal toxicity in the aluminum, and it's crazy how toxic people are, and they have no idea. And then still putting mercury in people's mouths, knowing how toxic mercury is. So it's they know what they're doing. It's job security, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. It creates nonstop customer, right?
But I've seen a ton of vaccine injuries, and that's one of the other things that I've really been focused on, is that I had a kid that was 21, just graduated from A&M, which is a big engineering school here in Texas, and got his first job. He's so excited, and they wanted a vaccine. And he said no. And they said, well, yes, if you want to, have a job. And so he did it. And we have CVSs. I don't know if you have CVSs where you are, but he collapsed in the CVS when he got the shot. And they took him to the hospital. The cardiologist said, yeah, I'm seeing this. It's the vaccine. He had myocarditis. He was very, very ill. And somehow his mom found me. It took me about 5 months total, but on the Rasha, about 5 weeks to completely heal his heart. And the Rasha is what I attribute to his healing. I have a very dialed in COVID and vaccine injury protocol now in the Rasha. And we have, live blood analysis that we can prove that after 2 Rashas, all the zeta potential, or the electric charge on your cells is restored. That's what's causing all these clots, all the negative energy or negative charge on the cell is completely wiped out, and they just collapse on each other.
Wow.
The live blood analysis is very useful. That's awesome that you're doing that. You can see right there in real time what's going on.
Yeah.
On my list of things to come and see you, Dr. Kami.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I was talking to Jackie, who we all met in North Carolina, and she and I we're going to come see you, Dr. Kami.
Yeah, come on down.
So tell us, so let's go back and just explain, what is the Rasha? People are probably going, what is the Rasha? What are they talking about? What is it?
Yeah. So the Rasha is a scalar plasma technology that basically, the way I explain it to people is, in the room right now, there are cell phone waves going through the air. We can't do anything with them, but we have this device called a cell phone that can actually transmute those waves into something, some type of information that we can go hello and talk to somebody on the other side of the planet. Where our cells do that with scalar waves. And we could go into another hour-long podcast about what a scalar wave is, but let's just suffice it to say that's how the body communicates with itself. Each cell has, you have the cell, the physical matter cell, and then you have what's called a morphogenetic field around each cell. That is the energetic instructions that tell that cell how to work. And even mainstream medicine actually acknowledges this morphogenetic field in phantom leg pain. Because that's all phantom leg pain is the morphogenetic field is looking for the matter, and it doesn't have the matter, so it's firing. And the complex regional pain syndrome that I had was basically a distortion of the morphogenetic field. That's why my leg was hurting. So that's what the Rasha does, is actually go in and communicate directly with what we call the intron DNA. It's the, quote, junk DNA that mainstream medicine calls junk. It's just the non-coding protein genetic code that we have that's 98% of our genetics. Like, why would that's not a very efficient biological metamorphosis to have 98% of this information be junk. So I reject that. So that's what the Rasha does. The Rasha actually wakes that back up, turns it back on. Also, there's lots of distortions in the field, in our energetic field, and the Rasha will go in and kind of scan the distortions and put the resonance right back in for the frequency.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
I remember years ago, I was part of this organization, and we were dealing with the quantum biofeedback devices, like the SKIO, and I forgot the other one. And then I learned that those were all calibrated to base 10. Yeah. And I talked to somebody who explained that to me, that, they're all either
hackable.
Yeah, exactly. I think he said base 8 or base 10. He said they all need to be base 12. And exactly what you were saying. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're capable of harming people, right? And then I experienced someone harming me with one, and so did one of our colleagues. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's very dangerous to have a lot of those flying around the planet when someone with bad intentions can send you things. So,
especially now, because we are all, I personally believe the A team is on the planet right now, regardless of who you're talking about. We all came in for this evac mission, if you will.
Yes.
And so now, before, I think base 10 was okay because people's consciousness wasn't high enough that they were even seeing out of the matrix or the illusion, if you will.
Yes.
Now they are. So, as we're here, we're actually here. And if you're just dealing with down here, the illusion, the finite life illusion, then you're going to keep pulling people's consciousness back down instead of actually, having it soar by remembering who we are. It's not creating anything. It's just remembering who we actually are.
And how powerful we are.
Yes.
As human beings. Yes.
We're actually our Rishi body, and as we go up in consciousness in this 15-dimensional time continuum, our Rishi body is literally the size of the sun. So that's how powerful we are. The size of a freaking sun. How cool is that? So, yes.
Yeah, we're cold fusion nuclear reactors. It's hard to believe, but it's true. We are.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they keep trying to.
Right, because they know what's coming.
Rising up,
they're scared.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we continue to agree to it.
Yes.
And once we
Yes.
stop agreeing to it, that's when the shift happens, and it's happening now
Yes.
in this moment. And people, you know, like we were talking about earlier, the test they were sending out today, and I had several people call me, "Are you turning off your computer? What do you?" No, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not giving that 1 second of energy. And at the litmus test, in my belief, is if it's promoting fear, if it's making you afraid or you feel afraid, that is all in the matrix. It's all illusion. Just reject it. Don't agree to it, because
Yeah.
you're giving it
Your
source.
agreement, basically.
Yeah,
You're
Yes,
offering
yes.
it.
you're
Yeah.
giving it permission, like the vampire that needs permission to come in your house.
Yes. And by doing that, we're feeding it. You
Yes.
know, like the big fat wolf and the skinny wolf. You know that
Yes.
that proverb.
Yes.
And right now, the illusion or the gigantic matrix wolf is huge, and it's fat, and it's just sitting there, and we got this shriveled up little, you know, just a little consciousness, please. And so that's what we're doing now. And folks like ourselves that are, you know, bringing this out and speaking about it, and you know, we have a certain amount of risk doing it. You know,
Yes.
especially me, I have a license. So I have a licensing board that can come and say, yeah, no, and take it. Go ahead, do it. I don't care. You know, I'm
Right.
not worried about it. And you know, if I never made another penny, I would be just fine in my life. So I'm not under that gun. You know, we've been very blessed in our lives, and I will always land on my feet. So I'm not worried about it. And I don't operate in that fear of, you know, what if they do this? What if they do? Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's kind of the slavery model, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I reject that
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Yes.
I say once you've lost all of your mind in a good way, that there's nothing they can take from you. And I've already lost all my mind, so
Me
there's
too.
absolutely nothing there's nothing they can do.
Right there
Nothing.
with you, sister. Right there with you.
Yeah. So we got 4 crazy people on here. Crazy in a good way, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think people are ready to hear, though. They're ready to look at all these different alternative. I mean, they've seen with their own eyes now through a lot of the stuff that happened with COVID and all the
Oh yeah.
you know, just the things that didn't add up. So I think they're ready to see. And I think when we were talking about the intron DNA, that's where all the good stuff is, where we have all of our
Yes.
God-given powers that
We
are
are
birthright.
designed.
And
We are designed to regenerate and heal. We are
Yes.
designed that way. We're not designed to die. Actually.
No.
Even
exactly.
if you look in the Bible or whatever book you subscribe to look at, in the beginning they lived hundreds of years.
Yeah, and
And
sometimes
there's even
thousands.
kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even kings that the whole lineage is thousands of years. We were created to regenerate. And,
yes, we were.
And now it's this pitiful, you know, 75 years. And, you know, a lot of people are living maybe 60 that's productive. And then when they get 65, 70, which is where I'm at, not 65, I'm almost 60. But when we get to that's when people start, you know, regressing and not being as active. And, you know, and we also have a listing for our older population that it's just expected. You're going to be sick. You're going to be old. You're going to be feeble. You know, my dad's 86 years old. He still rides his motorcycle. And, you know, he's not that. And that's not normal to be, you know, in pain and to be old. You know, that's
and don't you think part of it is just brainwashing us for years that, just wait, when you get old, this is all going to happen.
Yes.
Now, so many people are on pharmaceuticals, so that is causing some of it, but also the mindset, you know, that you're supposed to age and do this by this, you know. And I remember when I was approaching menopause, and people were like, just wait, you're going to have hot flashes and this and that. And I said, no, I'm not. And I said, I'm only going to lose my period, which is awesome. And that's exactly what happened. No other symptoms. And then they go like, how did you do that?
We're designed.
And I'm like, because I just said, I refuse.
It's interesting. There's many cultures around the world that do not have a word for menopause.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't occur in that culture. It's just in westernized cultures, partly because, you know, our adrenal glands are supposed to kick over when we stop ovulating, but we live in this "a tiger's chasing me all the time" world, and our adrenal glands, you know, the agreement was I was going to sit here for 50 years and just kind of kick it until you stop making those hormones, you know, through ovulation. But you didn't do that. So guess what? I'm not going to do it either. And the adrenal exhaustion is just there. I'm just not going to do it. So getting the adrenals back online and all that at the physical level. But what's really important to share here is that nothing is healed at the physical level. Nothing.
Yep.
So the physical level is a result of, and I like to explain it in the 5-body scenario, where we have the physical body, then we have what's called the vital body, the mental body, the supramental body, and the bliss body. So the vital body is our electrical system and not the neurological system. It's the meridian system. And I explain it like you have chakras, and there's more than 5, but we'll talk about the 5. That it's more like a what's the word I'm looking for? A breaker box. It's like a breaker, and each one has its circuitry that goes through, which is glands and organs. And, you know, like it's going to the master bedroom and the kitchen and each place in your house. And each chakra has a gland, and it has 2 organs attached to it. Each one of those, one is a hollow organ, one is a solid organ, and it makes a perfect Tesla capacitor. So it's really pretty cool how it's designed. But that's the vital body. That's where acupuncture, that's where homeopathy, those things work. And then we have the mental body, and that's our operating system. So are we operating on a Mac, or are we operating on a Windows-based unit? And what that is we can think, and our thoughts are actually scalar waves, and they're actually giving our cells instructions exactly what to do. That's why speaking also has those cells oscillate. Just thinking is powerful, but actually speaking it out loud is getting the cells to actually get the frequency and the oscillation from that word. So we can actually think, but we can actually observe that we're thinking. So we're in complete control of that process. We're not our feelings. We just observe that we have them, and we can let them move through.
Yeah.
So that's the mental body. And then we have the supramental body, which is all the programming. So that's all the programming that's in your DNA. Mom, dad. Mom is on the left side. All your genetics on your left side of your body is from your mom. All your genetics from your dad is on your right side of your body. And all the programming from what's right, what's wrong, religion, society, everything, all that's in there, and it's programs running. Some of them we know about, some of them are back here. We have no clue that they're running. And then we have the bliss body, which is our direct connection to God, source, whatever word you use. Sorry, my cat's about to jump up here. Sorry. Whatever words you use for it, it still exists. And I have people that I don't believe in it. Okay, you don't have to believe in it, but it's still there. Just like electricity, you can't see it, but it exists and it's still there. So what we have to do is all the healing has to go from the vital body up. And the interesting thing is the healing does not go upward; it only goes downward. So the higher up the bodies you go, the more complete the healing. If you've heard of a quantum leap, that's where people actually have a healing in the supramental body. They have a complete shift, and that's what conscious language is speaking to directly, is in that supramental body language. That's why you can have a complete healing. And then, but the interesting thing is it does happen energetically in that moment, but we're also in a 3D space-time continuum, so the body isn't a lag behind. It takes a little bit of time for the body to catch up with what's already happened. That's why it's so important in conscious languaging to get the agreement, so that you're actually telling the cells, okay, this is what we're doing now. I know we've been saying we're going to do this, but now we're doing this. And you know, that's why it takes that reprogramming at the cellular level, because our cells are actually where our memory is, not our brain. Our cells our memory is in our cells. So we have to tell them what to do.
Yeah, I choose to remember who said it. Might have been you, Dr. Kami, but it might have been Bob. Where our body has no choice but to obey our thoughts.
Mhm.
Our thought word now
I've
spoken.
said that before, but I'm
Yeah.
sure he said that as well.
Yeah.
I think of the body like an obedient 3-year-old that does as it's told.
Yeah.
So you just tell it what to do, and it will do it. It's just we forget, or we choose to not remember that, to discount that, because nothing in society currently, nothing in anything that you hear in medicine has any listening for that at all. Like, you're just a wackadoodle if you think that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have a client that I get a lot of cancer patients now. Yeah, I'm gonna say it on the podcast. I'm gonna say the cancer word. Now those SUVs might show
That's
up
the
now.
real C word is cancer.
That's the real C word. That's right. I can talk about what I've actually done, so I feel completely okay with that. The most recent client I had with cancer, she came in. They basically sent her home and said, "Get your affairs in order." That was literally the words they used. Go get your affairs in order. She had failed chemo and she was non-responsive to chemo. She started with brain cancer, and then she had mets in her liver. So she had 2 big frontal lobe lesions and tumors, and then 5 more sporadically throughout her brain. And then she had, her liver has cancer in it. So she came to me pretty desperate and wanting so much to believe in it. And she was scared. Her family's telling her she's crazy, but it took the oncologist saying, "Go home, we got nothing else for you," for her to finally, see something else for herself or keep looking. So she came, and we heal from the top down and the inside out and reverse order of symptoms. So when she came in, we just did the Rasha. That's all I did. And after the first 12 hours, because I require 12-hour blocks at our clinic. And she went and got a scan. So it's about 2.5 months after we started. And I think she did some vitamin C, but mostly the Rasha. And she went and got the scan. And first they scanned her liver. Just that was the order. And her liver was larger. And she was very upset. But her labs looked better. Her enzymes were better and everything looked better. And I said, "It's okay. When we heal, we swell. So I'm okay with that." And she was very afraid. And, I said, "You got to knock this fear out. This is why your liver is so sick. You're angry and fearful." Anyway, so the next week was her brain scan. And she came back in for her Rasha. I was putting her on her Rasha. She goes, "Dr. Kim, you'll never believe it." I said, "Oh, I will." She said, "I have no cancer in my brain."
Wow.
After 8 sessions on the Rasha, 1.5 sessions.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome.
Yay.
yeah. So that happened. We have documentation. So whoever wants to come challenge that, come on down. But it's amazing, and I see it over and over and over. And the one thing I have the vision, I'm going to say it again, is clinics across the United States starting out talking about addiction and helping with addiction. Because one of the things that all of these drugs are doing, that they know they're doing, the secret government, shadow government, whatever you want to call it, is when you take drugs like that, it compacts your lower strand DNA. And they know that. So they're doing that on purpose to damage us so we can't do the ascension we need to do. So if we can combat the addiction and get people out of that addiction, but I can tell you personally, the miracles I have seen with the Rasha and addiction it's you hear angels singing. I've had
I have
people that
not scientific, I didn't do any research or, I didn't have any testing or anything done like that, but I helped a friend who had some addiction problems, and that was just the Rasha, not even, in your setting where you have the Rasha chair and everything. This was just the live streams, and he just told me about how much that it helped him. And I also told him, I said, did you ever think that maybe drugs are addicted to you? And then I put him on the Rasha, and he actually bought one of those vests where you can feel the music. And so he did that with the Rasha, and he just thanked me immensely, because he had been on a very bad path, and he turned it all around. Where he was kind of like falling off and on, you know what I mean? But he could never just get that steady sobriety. He just couldn't attain that. And I think the Rasha just gave him that extra bump that he needed to really heal.
What's interesting that I see with the Rasha is alcohol's the only substance that if you cold turkey it, you can die. You know, heroin, you can cold turkey it, you just wish you were dead. But you can actually die from alcohol. So when I have people come in, I ask them what your alcohol intake is, and you know, and people just lie. They lie to you. That's what happens. And so I had a client that came in for cognitive issues. His wife brought him in, and he did the Rasha, and he was getting much better. And his wife came in, and she said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." She said, "He didn't tell you the truth. He drinks a fifth of vodka every day." And after it was, I think, 6 sessions on the Rasha, he completely stopped drinking.
Wow.
And he's not drinking anymore. And he completely cold turkey stopped drinking completely, did not detox, did not go into DTs, did not have any adverse effects.
Wow.
I've had the same thing happen with a heroin addict that had a schizophrenia. After the first session, he stopped hearing the voices. After the third session, he stopped using heroin, and he did not detox, and he did not have any ill effects or anything after stopping heroin.
Wow.
So that it also, I'm going to use the other C word, cures trauma. It sounds like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I personally think for this particular guy, I think he had a lot of abduction history that's out of his view. Right. But it'll go in and really pick out the trauma. Now, one thing I'm noticing after having my Rasha and seeing as many clients as I've seen, there are some things that are still required for you to process consciously. Like the Rasha will go in and wipe out a lot of it, just like I'm old enough to remember floppy drives. You probably
tell me too.
No, I remember them. I had them.
Yeah. And you could take a magnet and just wipe it, and then the it's wiped out. And same thing on the back of your credit card. Don't put it next to a magnet and it'll wipe it out. Well, the Rasha does that. But I'm finding that there are certain traumas that your consciousness requires you to acknowledge or come through the consciousness. That's just been my observation.
Bring to the surface.
Yes. Yeah. And then I use other things. I'll do tuning forks, which are amazing. Even though they're base 10 and the frequencies are base 10 frequencies, it's still, I'm dealing with the physical body. The physical body is still manifesting in a base 10, environment. Consciously, though, we're definitely base 12. And as we bring that online, then those kind of things won't even work anymore. But they work really beautifully now. Using frequency sound, vibrational therapy, and just really helping all this trauma, because that's the basis of it, the trauma.
Wow.
I was just going to say, I believe a lot of us, like I was saying earlier, I think the 8 humans on the planet, I believe that many of us agreed to clear entire lineages of trauma. And so I'm seeing that. And
that's so awesome, because it's definitely required. Like you can tell, we've got to make. You talked about it earlier, the quantum leap. This is what is required. We have to narrow that chasm just a little bit so that we can, we can launch.
And it heals backwards and forwards, right?
Oh yeah,
that's right.
That's what's interesting. I'm a body code certified, and he tells a story, and the man that teaches it and developed the technology. He tells a story of he was at one of his events, and a lady came up to him and said, "I know that there's people behind that you can see," because she could see the spiritual world. She said, "But what you don't see is all the people in our future. It's all at the same time. There's no past or future, but
Right.
all of those people that are standing in front are also saying thank you, because
Yes.
it's your daughter's daughter that hasn't been born yet in this time space continuum that are being affected by it. So it's amazing, that the way we process in our brain has to have a beginning and a middle and an end for us to actually have a perception. But there's no such thing. It's all happening. Instead of the time being this way, it's this way. In
Yes.
This moment. And
Yeah,
then you're
right.
just dialing in like a radio station. Am
Yeah.
I listening to smooth jazz today, or are we going to do heavy metal? What are we doing today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you drawing that in the
Mhm.
class, right? Which was
Yeah.
such a great explanation of just tuning into a different station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all have the power. You
Yes, we
don't require a Rasha to do this.
Right.
But most people with the distortions that's in this field, it's a lot harder. And since we now have the technology and the knowledge and the remembering, it's just easier. Like I can walk to Colorado, but it's so much easier to get on a plane.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and our bodies are quantum healing devices,
Yeah, and my whole all my research is involved in regeneration, reverse aging, and my hashtag that I started is We Are the Tech, because we do have this technology to help us, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's us that is the tech.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this technology for good, and we're going to use it for a bridge to get to where we need to be. But ultimately, it's our bodies, our vessels, our mind, our body, our spirit, our soul that is the technology. It's not anything here in this 3-dimensional hologram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think on the Code 12, that's the name of the movie, they really do a good job on that.
I'm going to watch that like tonight.
Me too.
I have nothing to do with that movie other than I just watched it last night, and it's
and my
good.
friend sent me a book on Dosimal math today, so I'm going to read that today too. Or not? Well, I won't read it tonight, but I'm definitely going to watch that movie tonight.
Awesome.
See, I became a nurse because there was like this little voice inside me that said, we are not meant to die, and we are meant to regenerate. And, it's taken me all of my adult life up until, COVID really, to find and connect with people where they're actually walking that this is true. Adriann, I love anything and everything that she researches because she's all over it, like white on rice. But so hearing this is like, yes, I remembered. But it's a paradigm shift for a lot of people because you're right. It's the third dimensional and the compacting of just our reality. I loved that description you gave, Dr. Kami. It was just well articulated.
It's interesting. Even my colleagues here in Houston are starting to wake up as well. The patient with the brain tumors, her doctor, this is a Methodist hospital or MD Anderson, I can't remember if it's Methodist or MD Anderson, actually said your cancer is from the vaccine. Wow. He actually said it out loud. And this is an institutional doctor. Wow. I was like, what? Because, I don't know if you've researched much on the turbo cancers, and they're just, it's crazy.
It's like stage 4 out of nowhere, people. I know so many people who just all of a sudden have stage 4 cancer. And brain cancer is very common right now.
And I just had a friend whose 33-year-old daughter just collapsed and died. Post-vaccine, had nothing wrong with her prior to that, and then just started having clots and clots and clots, and she just died 2 weeks ago.
It's very, very hard to witness when there's a myriad of other ways, and it's just devastating to witness. I mean, I haven't gotten callous to the situation because I never would, but at a certain point, you just have to realize that we are in a war, and there is going to be collateral damage and casualties. Yeah. But I'm just very happy that people are to the point where they're ready to listen. They're ready to listen to the other to the other technologies that are available to them. So it's very exciting to me.
And the Rasha will reverse the effect of the venom. And we actually have 2 venom frequencies that I run on the Rasha for vaccine injuries, and it's you can see it in the blood.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're big fans of Dr. Artis. So
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I've been called Dr. Jerry. I sent a text to Dr. Jerry. I said, I need 2 venom frequencies for the
That's
vaccine.
awesome.
He had it to me in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. We're going to interview him. I was texting with him the other night when I found out the 2 scientists that he's been talking about, they just won the Nobel Prize.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
You literally, you can't make it up. Like you literally, I mean, like the stuff that I come across and that I remember, I feel like I couldn't make it up if I tried. It's just one thing after the next. It's it's crazy.
We're all thriving together. We're all finding each other again, and we're all thriving together. And it's pretty cool. And I choose to make it fun and easy.
I choose to make it fun and easy.
So it's like a big movie to me. And people are having horrific experiences, but I also know that they chose it, even if they don't. They get angry at me about it. I have one lady that I've been working with that just would not let that go, that she is creating her world until she got it. And one day it's just, you watch the light bulb and her entire existence transformed in a second, in a millisecond. It was really cool. But we do create a world. So just create something powerful and create something awesome.
Yeah. And choose to align with what makes you come alive.
Yes.
And also just that, what Bob talks about all the time in conscious language, that thing that's coming up is the other side of it is begging to be to be healed and to come out and
agreed with.
Yes.
The blessing that you haven't agreed with yet.
Exactly.
Yes. And sometimes we need a little reminder, a little smack against the head. I'll tell clients, I see you divinely perfect, and your illusion, I will punch in the face. I have no problem.
I love that.
I'll
that's
punch
so
your
good.
illusion right in the face. And they just look at me like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
I love me some Dr. Kami.
I know, right? Mate, she's one you want in the corner.
I'm an acquired taste for something.
So talk to us about what the Rasha device is. And so is it like, can people do it remotely? We've heard about the streaming or whatever, and what does that look like?
Yeah, through quantum physics, there's quantum entanglement. It is a consciousness device. So once you engage with the Rasha, you're quantumly entangled with the Rasha. And we have the frequencies that are going through, and it's creating the scalar waves, and then you're quantumly entangled. The headphones and those things are to keep you engaged and keep your consciousness. It keeps people reorienting themselves back to this moment, and being, with one of the reasons that I get the results I get with my Rasha is conscious language. Everybody is required to do their decrees. We have an entire session about what the decrees are, and then they do them and they say them out loud during the Rasha, not just think about them, but actually say them out loud so that we can tell the cells what they're doing. But it's not required that you're in front of the Rasha. You can be remote. And we do a lot of a remote. In fact, I have a client in Peru that he found me. I did another podcast, and he found me. No, he was referral. Never canceled for that. Anyway, he's been in kidney failure for 4 years, on dialysis for 4 years. Wow. He did his first 12-hour block of Rashas, and that's all we've done because he's in Peru, and I haven't done anything else for him. He started complaining that he has stomach pain. And as we talked more, it's like, that's not stomach pain, that's the urge to urinate. It's been so long since you've had the urge to urinate, you don't know what that feels like, or you've forgotten what that feels like. he actually urinated, and you'll appreciate this. He actually urinated 2 or 3 teaspoons of urine at
Wow.
12 hours on the Rasha. I don't know any place in the literature that talks about 4 years on dialysis starting to make urine again. And he is
Wow.
making urine again. But he's also very spiritual. He's very tapped in, and he is driving the Rasha like it's stolen. He really is. He's on there. He's doing the work. That's what he's doing. And it's amazing every time he talks to me about his insights and his upgrades and everything. It's amazing. So it requires to have that kind of shift. That's a quantum leap shift. And
Yeah.
it requires that depth and that, you can't get on the Rasha and just kind of hang out and say, oh, come do me, Rasha. It will work, but again, are you driving your Lamborghini just to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Are you actually getting on the highway and opening it up and seeing what this baby will do? So that's what is required. And there's nothing else that he's done but the Rasha. And getting that kind of result, I was like, what? Even that shocked me. Nothing shocked me anymore, but I was pleasantly surprised about it.
Wow.
So that's
amazing.
completely remote.
Well, it sounds like
Wow.
he had the right mindset before
He
that
did.
it just kind of
He
like
did.
it clicked in,
Absolutely. Again, he is the healer. I don't heal anybody. I'm
Right.
just a coach, and I explain it to clients, that want me to do the work. It's like I'm the coach on the sideline of a football team, and I cannot get in there and throw the ball for the quarterback. He has to do that. I can say, hey, if you turn your head this way and do that, I can't, 'cause I don't know football and all, but you get the idea. But it's our job. It's our choice, our highest choice. And if you're choosing health, and then 30 seconds later you remember, no, I'm not healthy, then it's a back and forth. And that's why our cellular memory is what is so important for us to change and transform, not even change, because change is like more, better, or good. Transformation is a different radio station completely.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and what you described is the epitome of, the body has no choice but to follow suit once the brain and, consciousness have made a decision.
Yes.
Well, and also being
health.
specific about what you choose, very specific,
Yes. Yes.
what the outcome is.
And the babble that we have
Mhm.
in language is, it's so insidious that it's difficult sometimes. Cancel clear that, but that's my experience, that people talk in the babble and don't even realize that they're talking in the babble. And I choose my words very specifically when I'm dealing with a client. And then when you're talking to people, if you talk all conscious language, people are like, what are you talking about? You sound weird, and they don't, you lose them.
Yes.
So, but having choice and really getting that it is a choice, what you co-create in your world, and then getting very specific at that, like, I don't want to have cancer is not a healing highest choice. I am healthy and well. There's no cancer in that. I'm just healthy and well. Like I was talking to somebody earlier about, I just want to sleep. Okay, choose. I sleep soundly every night. Choose that versus I don't want to have insomnia. I don't want to be sick. Well, your body has no choice but to be sick because you just told it to be sick. It doesn't know I'm not. It just
Right.
affirmative. So, but we're that powerful, which is pretty cool. If you can create the misery, you can create the joy.
Yeah.
So do you prefer working with people in person?
I prefer working with people.
Working with people, yeah. So if somebody were to come to you to work with you in the Rasha, how does that? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, seldom do I only do the Rasha, because you have to support the physical body.
Yes.
And we're in the McMed and the instant gratification world, that it's comical to me that people will go and they'll go to a cancer doctor and they'll get hooked up to a drip. They'll lose all their hair. They will puke their guts out on their chemo and do that for 4 or 5 years until they're just about dead. And the chemo is not producing any results or very little results. And they'll do that for years. And then they'll come to me and we'll start working together. And then in a month and a half, they're like, well, I'm not cured. You said I'd be, no, I didn't say that, but I'm not cured yet. I'm like, give me a minute. You've been doing this for, years, and I just met you 4 weeks ago. So give me a minute. So it's interesting the way that the people are so brainwashed into this is the only way, even if it doesn't work, even if it makes you feel terrible, even if, when you come to our clinic, first of all, you got to lose your diagnosis. We don't talk about diagnosis. It's just a signal the body's giving. And every time you speak that diagnosis, you're reaffirming to your cells that that's what we're doing. We're doing diabetes, we're doing cancer, we're doing whatever it is, whatever the thing is. And then the first thing I do is clean the terrain. So the germ theory is a hoax. There aren't germs as we know them. So the terrain of the body, depending on how basic or how acidic it is, or said another way, how positively charged or negatively charged your terrain is, dictates what actually is created out of the most minute pre-matter particle in the blood. So you can actually see what we would call a virus or a pathogen. And if you give it the right amount of energy, it will turn into an actual red blood cell or an actual white blood cell or a macrophage or all these things. So it matters what the terrain is, what the soup is that these cells are floating around in. So we clean the terrain instead of just having a dirty fish tank and sticking, antibiotics in the fish. We actually just clean the water, and then the fish is happy. Yeah. So that's the first step I do for most people, is get the terrain and the gut in check, because as the body heals, it needs the raw materials to be able to have the building blocks to build the body back. Now, can you co-create that energetically? Yes. Can most people do that? Not yet. So I give them a little help. And so we do that first, and then all the other things that are required to help. Life weight patches, big fan. I do a lot of frequency, light therapy, tuning forks, acupuncture, and the kind of acupuncture I practice is very unique. Maybe 1% of acupuncturists do this type of acupuncture, where we're not only, I can do your whole body in 4 needles, and usually it's in your ear. And we can actually put frequency in as well as stimulate the point. So we have leaks of chi, of energy, usually in the teeth. The teeth are there's 7 major chi leaks, and that can be a whole nother podcast. We can talk about this. But one of the things I do is first plug the holes where you leak in chi, with your thyroid, your stomach, your teeth, lots of adrenal glands, all that stuff. And then, fill the bucket up, whatever that channel is that's leaking, usually a couple of channels. Fill the channels up, and then the body now has the energy to actually go in and heal. Because every single cell needs a negative 20 millivolt charge to actually function correctly. That's why the vaccine is so detrimental to people healing, is because it instantly kills that negative charge, and the cells just kind of collapse on each other. When you get to a positive charge or a more positive charge, that's when you have cancer. Cancer is usually like a plus 30 charge. So that's the kind of acupuncture I actually put frequency in as well, with a high voltage machine, so I can actually give the right frequency to turn on beta endorphins, to turn on different cells in the body, as well as stimulate the point. So it's really effective. Like you're getting 2 or 3 treatments in one. So those are some of the other things we do hands-on in the clinic. And then get your gut completely healed so you can actually absorb whatever nutrients we're attempting to have you assimilate. As I explain to people, your body is like a donut. You got the donut hole, and then you got the donut. You eat something, it's not in your body yet. it's not in your body until it actually crosses over in your gut into your body. Otherwise, it just comes out and it's in the donut hole. It never actually enters your body. It has to get in the donut part first. So those are the things we do in person, and we have a pretty high success rate.
Wow.
That's great. So the Rasha that you do on people is not in person. It's remote. Sounds like.
Right. And we actually also have a membership program where you can do Rashas, like group Rashas. So I have several playlists. Like if you're a cancer patient, I have a cancer playlist so that you can get on, up to 2 to 3 times a week. And it's a group, so other people are on there, but it's remote. And that way it makes it more affordable for folks as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring up your website real quick because I'm sure people will be like, where can we find this lady?
Yeah.
There we go. There's your website. You Only Younger. It's such a great name.
It is.
I love it. And you have a big clinic too.
Yeah, we do. It's funny, in our little area, we started they're little cottages, and we started with one little sliver, and then we've taken over this way, we've taken over this way. So we have a full 2.5 buildings now, and we're just out of room. We just need to build our own building.
And you're in Sugarland? Is that where you are?
Sugarland, Texas.
Yeah.
Southwest Houston, and it's beautiful there. We love it.
Yeah. I've driven through there, I think, once or twice, and I really like it.
Definitely stop by next time you're in.
I know. Well, I'm definitely gonna come.
Yes.
Yeah, and we want to also talk about. So tell us about the conscious language class that you're getting ready to hold.
Yes, we're going to have a pretty extensive conscious language class in November. Date to be determined, but it's going to be probably the first or second weekend. It's going to be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so it's a pretty extensive conscious language class. We're going to have in person, and we're working on having a virtual component to it. But I'm of the opinion, with the energy and everything, conscious language is more powerful in person. So I would recommend, if you can go to a conscious language event, definitely do it in person.
Yeah, and we'll have all the details on the show
Yes.
notes. Yeah.
Yes. I'll get that to you. And I'm super stoked about it. It's going to be amazing. And it was something we just did this with our staff. We have 10 people in our staff. So we just did a complete conscious language class with everybody in the staff so that they can speak in conscious language to our clients. And you just watch the bombs going off. It's amazing. The upgrades are just everywhere. And it's regardless if these people ever, they continue to work with us or not, we have transformed their lives, and it's super cool. It's super cool. And just watching when one person gets it, all of us get it. When I get something, they get it. When they get something, I get it. It's just amazing because we're so entangled, and it's just been a joy to watch.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
One of the things I will say that the people that do conscious language in this type of work is to be prepared that your world will transform, and that may appear to you as a bad thing. Like one of my employees, her good friend is now, she just doesn't resonate with her anymore. And so but the people that'll come in your life will elevate your world. So it's okay if it looks like it's a tornado at first, because it's going to be this beautiful world that you're creating. So
and I think when you're vibing that high, you're going to attract other high vibe people.
Absolutely.
And you're also going to raise other people up if they choose that.
And they might run for the hills.
Yeah,
they might run for the hills, and it's okay. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is, and just love them. And you might have to love them from afar until they choose something else.
Yeah.
Well, one thing
Adriann-
I noticed for sure with the when we were in North Carolina with you and Bob is that being in the room, there's nothing quite like it, because you you realize how quantumly entangled you are with everyone,
Yes.
and that we're all one and we're all connected. That's very tangible at in-person events. So I encourage people, if they're in driving distance of Sugarland, Texas,
Yeah,
to go
exactly.
and see Dr. Kami's event.
Sorry, my cat is raising the louvers in the back. He's so
I
funny.
love it.
He's a mess. Yes, and there are airplanes too. So even if you
True.
had to get on an airplane, that's okay. I have clients that, Houston's very big. I think it's like 200 miles across, from end to end. And I had some clients, you're very far. It's like, did you have to get on a plane to see me? Then shut up and just
No sympathy.
Yeah,
none at all.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, is it, do you choose to heal?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I use a lot of humor and with my clients, but I also am a staunch stand for punching the illusion in the face.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's required to say, yeah, I'm not listening to that. And I have clients that they'll come in and like I had a client the other day that we're really working on conscious language with, and she came in with her laundry list of all her complaints and everything that's going wrong in her life, and she started to go, yeah, I'm not listening to that. And I said, oh, let me see that. Good away. She said, what are you creating today? And she looked at me like, what? What are you talking about? I said, no, what are you creating today? I'll listen to that. That we can talk about that. But I'm not talking about this laundry list you created at home of everything that's wrong in your life. You can go do that. Just go do that at home, because I have people that are actually interested in a higher choice. So you go do that at home, or you can come here and I'll help you create the most fabulous, because I ignite healing in my world, and I'm a miracle maker. So that's what I do.
It is.
Oh, I love it.
So
Love it.
good.
So good.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kami.
Yeah. Yeah.
This has been awesome.
It's been so
Have
good.
loved
been.
seeing you again. It
I
was
love
so
seeing
awesome
you.
meeting you in person.
Yeah.
But
I love
Yeah.
to listen to you talk, and I that's my next my next big trip is Australia. I can't wait to go. It's one of my bucket list places to go. So
well, I'll host you. I'll show you around. No
I
doubt
would
about it.
love it. I would love it.
That's so good. Well, and I'll get in touch with you as well. See what I can do in terms of working with you remotely until I can
Yes.
come and see you in person.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so I'll just stick it up again for those who didn't catch it the last time. Go and find Dr. Kami at youonlyyounger.com.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Kami.
Thank you for
appreciate you.
having me. It's been awesome.
Hey,